Hello and welcome to our Reboot review. I'm Paul,
And I'm Dave.
and this time we are discussing the episode When Games Collide. This episode originally aired September 14th, 1995 here in Canada, and October 7th, 1995 in the US. So Dave, let's start off with the number one film at the box office this week.
Dude, around then when I was five. Hmm.
I'm 99% sure you've never heard of this film.
Yeah, nothing is immediately coming to mind. Mostly the case of most likely at the time I would be watching the exact same Disney movie ad nauseum.
It's a movie called To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
That seems like a bit of a mouthful.
It's not a great title.
Yeah, but then of course it's also the question, is it a decent movie? So it's kind of
Let's see what there was. It didn't get an amazing reception. It seems like Rotten Tomatoes has it approval rating of 45%.
hmm.
Doesn't seem like it did amazing. It sounds like an interesting concept, but it stars Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo as three New York drag queens who embark on a road trip.
Hold on, what was the title of that one again?
To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
Wow, because I thought it was something completely different, but yeah, supposedly with that particular film, it has a particular fan base and following behind it. Like, I only know it from one or two little clips that I ran into while surfing online.
Yeah, like it's got a good cast, and I'm like, it's an interesting concept, but apparently it isn't amazing. So,
And maybe one of the only other things is like Robin Williams is in there for like 5 minutes.
well, there you go. Number one song in America at the time, Dave.
Hmm. No, my brain is completely diced with the particular thing I discovered during the week while surfing online that's still stuck in my brain like a terrible earworm, and it's pretty much completely annihilated most things in there. We can't think of any song around that time without thinking of it.
I'm 99% sure you'll know this song. Actually, no, I'm going to take that down. 90% sure you'll know this song.
Radios.
It's a song called Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
Yes. Then Weird Al got his hands on it.
Yes. But are you familiar with the original Gangsta's
Only
Paradise?
like little bits and pieces about it.
Okay. Well, and for video games, we only have one for this week. September 9th, if you had a PlayStation 1, Saturn, or Jaguar, you could pick up this little game called Rayman.
Oh man, the Raymans.
Yes, have you played any of the like original Rayman games?
Surprisingly enough, no. My only introduction to Rayman was around the time of, I believe it was supposedly started on the N64, but it was also released around the PlayStation 2 with Rayman 2.
The Great Escape. Okay, so that's like one of the early ones though, so you've played some of those.
But that was most of my experience with Rayman. It's like, oh man, it's a thing and it's neat, but I only have Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, yeah. But did you ever play Rayman Legends? Because that was really good.
Yes, with that one, I do have the couple of games of the series, but it is a case that's kind of been lost in the annals of my video game collection to work on. I think at the very least I've managed to at least through a couple of the worlds of the original Legends, though.
Yeah, that game was a lot of fun. Anyway, so let us move on to the episode. So, okay. So, Megabyte uses game energy to break into Mainframe's archives. He causes two games to merge into one and becomes trapped in the game himself. Bob saves his life, forcing Megabyte to grudgingly let him go when he captures him in the archives. Okay, So we start off the episode with a game happening, and then like the other game merges. So we start off in like this. Well, no, that's not true. We start off in a the first game with Bob, Dot, and Enzo, and they're all in these like metallic bodysuits,
They're all aliens.
and they're fighting this like robot thing.
Nice big robot death machine.
But then all of a sudden, the game slows down a bunch because Hack and Slash, who are my favorites, attach this thing to the game that sucks out its energy and slows the game down because Megabyte needs the energy to break into this archive.
Yes.
That's the basic premise of the episode. So Enzo defeats this game because it's stupidly easy and even Enzo can figure it out.
Yeah, and even in the most ridiculous way.
Yeah.
Grab the gun by the opposite end and use it as a bat.
He uses his rifle as a baseball bat, yeah. Anyway, so then we get a second game pops up, which is like looks kind of like a Call of Duty or like a Battlefield or something like that, like a war kind of shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
But then it merges. There's a second game that comes in and they merge, which is some kind of like dinosaur game. So we get this like almost kind of like a Turok situation.
Fancy crossover craziness.
But Megabyte gets pulled into this game too, and Hack and Slash are attempting to steal the energy from this game so that Megabyte can get into this archive because he wants to get something out of it, but I don't remember what it was.
Yes. The specifics was he was looking for an ancient program to create a portal to the supercomputer.
Right. And then they defeat the game, and Megabyte gets into the archive, and then they go to attack, like they go to get the program back from Megabyte, but he captures Dot, and then he just kind of lets them go because Bob helped him in the game.
Yeah, there was one last little issue because no matter what, Enzo always has to try to help out in some sort of way. And he's the one that discovers that they're stealing the stuff from the archives. But, Kid and his dog tries their best, but they also get captured too.
Right.
And Megabyte's like, this portal looks good, but I'm not immediately going to use it. Well, little kid, have fun. Throws him in.
Yeah, and it looks very much like a portal out of Stargate.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with like Stargate or any of that.
Like the basic premise, couple clips and other sorts of things of the episodes, but never a series that I actually looked into.
Okay, I've only seen maybe like a handful of episodes, but I was like, oh, that looks like Stargate. Anyway, so for some reason, Megabyte just lets everybody go because Bob's like, hey, I helped you in the game, and like, you're a villain, but you're not a villain. Because you just kind of let us go. Why does he just let them go? I don't understand this.
It's a mild case of either trying to give some depth to the character or supposedly keep with the base intentions of the character, but also a marvelous case of, oh man, we couldn't find a better method with the time period of actually getting this story to be somewhat decent and whatnot. Again, for most part, the basis of the entire episode works decently, but it's definitely a stumbling point right at the end.
Yeah, like, I'm like, okay, this whole idea of like two games merging, like, that's interesting. Or like some of that other stuff, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then the ending just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, but why?
Like at the very least, they could have added a bit more of an action sequence to the thing. Have Bob save Dot in a certain sort of way, or even Dot saving herself in certain situations.
Yeah, I'm like, if there would have been like some, if there would have just been something there, I don't know what exactly, but yeah, I just wish there had been something like some reason for Megabyte to let them go if that was the idea they wanted. But like It just kind of happens.
Aside from at least the very much of supposedly, or again with within the story of Bob managed to save Megabyte from the game, getting him out of that situation, and he supposedly returns the favor of, fine, you ruined my plans enough as it is, just get out of my hair.
Yeah, I don't, but like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I up until the end, I quite enjoyed this episode. I'm like, okay, this is fun. It's got some like fun ideas of like combining games, and I'm like, okay, hopefully we get more stuff like that in the series because that's like actually pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought this was like a fine episode up until like the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, with any of that. And I suppose it was also nice for you because Hack and Slash had a little bit more involvement within the episode of
I love hack and
doing the deed
slash.
and their interactions with things.
They're my favorite because they're idiots, but they're lovable idiots.
Of course.
Hack and slash. Anyway, what did you think of the episode, Dave?
On the whole, it was definitely fairly good. It's the case of I know of the episode because of the intro it usually comes in with and one or two of the base ideas, but it still had the couple of moments of, okay, this is how the story sort of goes along and how things are sort of happening within it. And on whole, I think it's a case of it starts to really push things up a little bit more of what Megabyte is kind of more willing to do to get to the specific thing that he wants. That he's willing to take something to attach to a game to break in somewhere to get what he wants.
Yeah, but he's not willing to like kill anybody.
Not quite to that extent. And I suppose the one only excuse that we could throw up is, haha, kid show.
Well, yeah, yeah. No, that's a totally fair like point to make. Is like it is a show for children, so my whole thing of like why didn't he just slit Dot's throat is maybe a bit unfair.
Yeah.
But also, why didn't he just kill Dot? Anyway,
Additionally, yeah, like there even could have been the excuse of Bob, have Glitch do a Deus Ex Machina thing.
yeah, even that I would have been like, I don't love that there's always a glitch always has this Deus Ex Machina, but I'm like, I would go with it. Like, it's a kids show after all. I'd be willing to go like, okay, at least the hero saves the day in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, is there anything else you wanted to add about this
It's just
episode?
that turns out. No, I think on whole it was interesting enough, especially with the interesting idea of the two games merging with one another, seeing the ridiculousness that could happen with that. And on the whole, there was at least a bit more of a step up. Because one of the first things, and one of the things we kind of don't too much discuss, was the opening for this episode has changed up a little bit, bringing up a couple more later episodes of season one, as well as some of the episodes of season two, to show off some things and the stuff that's kind of been going on.
Yeah, they
And
had.
especially with this stunt, it's kind of stepping up a little bit more with Megabyte, where typical day-to-day actions from the previous season were things of the episode. It's sticking with Megabyte is going through a whole lot of different things to try and get his way.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And they have, like you said, redone the title sequence to bring in some new footage, which I appreciate because um, it's just kind of fun to get kind of a preview of what we're going to see later in the season.
Little snippets of things to come.
Yeah. So, until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.